Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, March 11th. Really excited to be here at our regular time and then welcome. I would call it like a little bit of a crossover event because we have Noor Boyle, who is with the James Hardy Company and also a client of ours. So I'd love to dig into the world of building products as well as life getting your entire house blown up and expanded with our team. So thanks for being here, Noor.
I'm so excited to be here, Dave. So excited. Looking forward to it.
I meant to look it up beforehand, but how long ago did we finish your project? Was that like 4 years ago, maybe?
I think so. I think it was between Liam, who's 6, and Reed, who's 3. So I think about 4 years. Yeah.
And what I don't understand. Why did you need to renovate your house? It seemed perfect to me.
So similar to so many people, we were in our house, love the location. It was our first home. COVID hit, everybody was all up in everybody's grill. And so I naturally turned to my husband and said, we need to move. And he's like, whoa, interest rates, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, let's just do a little like love it or list it situation. And so we did, and really quickly identified that love it was the only option for us. And so fun fact, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I was very rigorous in like getting to who we were going to work with for our renovation. And I didn't know if we were going to do an architect and then a builder, a design build. Like I had no idea. We'd never done anything like that before. Right. And I met with probably about 12 different companies. And then I saw you on Instagram and I said, I think we should meet with just one more. And so my husband had not met with all the other companies, but you were the only person that we did not meet with in person. You were the only person that we met with virtually. We were sitting at our kitchen table on the computer, my husband and I, like right next to each other. And then we're just like, yeah, that's who we're going to go with. And so that was it. Like, if I had not seen your presence on Instagram, we probably would have gone with one of those other 12 companies.
I had no idea you talked to 12 other companies.
And you were really chill. You were really chill. Yeah. You weren't like hard pitching. You're like, this is what we do. Do you want to do it? And then Colby and I were like, I think so. And then we just fell forward and it was a great project.
Well, and I have, and all my sales calls or consultations, whatever you want to call them, are virtual. And, it's 30 minutes. And that's kind of like the whole idea. I'm not trying to sell you a project. Like that's really not what it comes down to. Like we want to approach it as a first step, which is a paid service, but let's figure out what's possible. I can pretty much guarantee you that we're the best at figuring out what's possible, and then let's figure out what we think that's going to cost. And then at least we have the information to move forward from there, which may, and honestly, like there's people that go through the process and they're like, okay, well, maybe it does make more sense to move. Right. And, we're sad because we want to build a project for them, but at the same time, we're happy because we've helped them kind of solve that chicken and egg to understand what the possibilities of their house are. And then, put a real solution to it is really the idea, and try and get there pretty quickly, relatively speaking.
And you guys have a pretty distinct aesthetic. And so when we looked through the different options that we had out there, I think especially in, the western suburbs area of Chicago, there isn't, I think it's probably coming, but there isn't as much like more modern, like really contemporary. And so that's definitely my husband and my style. So when we weren't interested in the modern farmhouse, we weren't interested in a traditional or a Victorian, like at all. And so when we looked at the work that you had done, we're like, that's what's appealing to us. Also, we needed something that was like really practical and livable. We have 3 young boys. And so it couldn't be too precious. It had to be beautiful, modern, really cool, like a cool factor, but it had to be durable.
Understood. Right there with you. It's going to get beaten up a little bit, right?
Right.
So you want to have some fun with it along the way.
Yeah.
I want to weave in something. See, I'm going to do some weaving here. Um, because you mentioned you found us on Instagram. So you're in your specific title with James Hardy. You are a brand director. Is
Yep.
that
Yep. Senior director of brand marketing and product marketing for James Hardy, as well as a few of our other exteriors brands. We just merged between James Hardy and the AZEK company not that long ago. So that kind of created a bit of a shakeup within our org, but
wow?
happy to still be here.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Now in the brand and marketing side, which you've been in for 15 years, for we talked about it, Valspar, then Sherwin-Williams, then James Hardy.
Mhm.
So just because it was Instagram that made you call us, how much is what is it? Because everyone's on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that made you say, you know what, maybe these guys are worth a shot? I don't like, you don't have to say the content specifically. I don't know that you even remember, but obviously,
It
like,
was actually, I do remember. It was actually, I think the specific feature was local businesses were being highlighted. I don't know if it was for Western Springs or the Western suburbs or something like that. And it was a feature on that. And you, as your business was, local to that area, were being featured. And you were, I would say, waxing poetic about the unique differences that your company offers. And so, again, because I had met with like 12 other companies previously, like I said, architect, contractors, etc., what you had said about design build being done hand in hand and the value of that, of, okay, it's not like, and nothing against architects at all, but like for a homeowner, if an architect designs this amazing house and then you then bring it to a contractor and like, that's amazing, but that's $5 billion, then you as the homeowner have to kind of go back and forth. And my husband and I just don't have that core competency. So the fact that we can go to one place, meet with one set of people, and they are along the design process, having feasibility in mind, that was really appealing. And then another thing that you said that really stood out was you front load design. So for a lot of people, and I know this in the business myself, people have a really hard time visualizing. And so oftentimes, you're looking at a schematic or like a 2D blueprint, and a homeowner is not, that's not something that's easy for them to look at. And so what you guys do, particularly within LivCo, that I remember, is you bring that way forward. So you, and I'm sure you guys have evolved a lot since then, like there were visualizers that you were like, hey, scan this QR code and like look through your kitchen. And so
yep, we still do that.
yes, we were
Yep.
really able to like, so this is what you were talking about in the Instagram of front loading design, a one-stop shop. And that really appealed to me.
Well, and something that I've learned, and you're kind of, alluding to you and Colby trying to figure out what to do here. And I just had a call with potential clients yesterday where it's kind of that similar thing. It's also, I don't think we realize the power that our process has in helping husband and wife be on the same page. Right?
Funny story, Dave, about that. One of the architects or somebody came into our house, and we were meeting with them, and this was one of the meetings my husband was at. A lot of them he wasn't at. And she like kind of went out on a limb and said, like, you guys are going to fight over like this or this or that. And I'm really fortunate. I've got a really good relationship with my husband. My husband adores me and I adore him. And the fact that somebody had come into our house and said that we were going to be fighting and she was going to be some counselor, this or that, he couldn't get her out of our house any faster. And so, but I will say though, at the same time, like, another thing that was really cool that I still remember that you guys did was you shared this like emotional highs and lows chart. And you really were transparent from the upfront of there's going to be some like really cool times. And then there's going to be some really bad times. And so we knew that wave was going to happen. But I'll tell you, like, it was fun for us, like for Colby and I to sit down together and design, the space where our kids were going to play and, little cool features and this and that. That was really fun. And your team made it really fun. And we also, as a young family, didn't have no budget. We very much did have a budget. So we didn't feel like there were very many times throughout the process where we had to choose between cool, functional, durable, and price. But your team was very transparent of like, at some point Colby wanted like a steam room or whatever. And that was,
The steam shower.
steam
Yeah,
shower.
it's like $20,000.
Right.
People don't
And so we
realize
did,
it.
so we did
Yeah.
poor man's steam shower. We did,
Right.
your team came up with a solution that was like glass all the way to the ceiling.
Right.
And so he steams and it's within budget.
Yeah. Yeah. A full on steam shower is a whole different level for whatever reason. But
One day.
Yeah. So you mentioned the funk chart.
The funk chart.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So and I've talked about that a couple of times on this show. Because it's a known thing. We didn't invent it. It was an architect. I forget his name. I'll credit him in the show notes. Way back when, that created the original one that is, from my opinion, spot on. And just a general description, it shows the phases of a project. It shows design and construction, and their design process is different. So we've evolved ours to be like, it basically shows design, exciting, and then pricing, and then change orders, all like, and like that's not really how it works, but in terms of the construction process, it shows the emotional highs and lows of the owners, the kids, the general contractor, the architect,
The dog.
right, the dog,
and
and then the pests and the rodents.
right.
Right.
The
pests and rodents are like, they're doing great and they're gone.
Yeah.
They just disappear. Do you remember some of the low points in there? Because let's start. Let's describe what we did to your house.
Yeah,
I'll
fabulous.
let you do that.
Yeah. So we moved into our home, our first home, before we were married. We're very proactive, and before we had children. But we looked in the city. We were living in Chicago, and we were looking at condos and this and that. And we knew that we were going to be getting married soon, and we wanted to start our family shortly thereafter. So we could, buy a 2, maybe a 3-bedroom downtown, but then really quickly we knew inevitably we were going to want to be close to our family. So my mom, Sherry, lured us out to the suburbs and said, why don't you just take a little bit of a gander? And so we did. And what we could get in Western Springs at that time versus relative to what we can get in the West Loop of Chicago was stark. And so the house that we moved into needed a lot of work, but it was solid. It was a mainly brick house, single-story ranch, great area of Western Springs, good school district, all those things. We ended up moving in and kind of did like very light cosmetic touches for a while. And then COVID hit. And at that point, I think the bathroom in our sink, the sink in our bathroom had died. A plumber had come out and said, there's really nothing left here. And so, we didn't know if the world was going to be ending as we knew it. And so we're like, well, if this is how it's going to be, we at least want to love our house. So that's what kind of led to the project. And so what we ended up doing was it was a 3-bed, 2-bath, and we popped the top and moved the bedrooms upstairs. So we have 3 bedrooms upstairs and 1 downstairs, and pretty much redid the entire inside of the house. And then the exterior as well. And one of the things that we really wanted was we didn't want it to look like those houses that you pop the top and it's just like, it's like a hat sitting on top of the house. We really wanted it to be cohesive and look intentionally designed. And so that was another thing that you guys brought that I was shocked. This was before I was in exteriors. I was still at Sherwin-Williams at the time, before I came to James Hardie. I was shocked at what you can do from an exterior of a home perspective. And so we did so many really cool things. We moved in with my mom for 6 months. Also, you guys were really close on time. Like there are horror stories of like, the company says it's going to take 6
Thank
months,
goodness.
it takes 12. We were really damn close. So, and the before and after, I mean, you're going to have to drop a link or something. The before and
I
after
know.
and it was award winning, Dave.
It was award winning. I believe you guys won a national award.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
You're one of our
Well, you did. You did.
3 national. Well, no, you guys were a huge part of it. I mean, it's a bit of a team effort. Plus, you guys paid for it.
True.
So
we're still paying for it.
That's what banks are for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was it was a great house. The lot is a corner lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I first tried to go to your house, I couldn't actually find it because I think your
still can't.
street,
It's still by design, actually.
Yeah, it's very secret, which was really cool. And then I finally found it in the way it's oriented. It's a ranch, but it's a long ranch. So you don't really have a backyard. You have a side yard and a front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of, and we don't get a whole lot of those projects in Chicago. Usually it's a narrow and deep lot. And so there's different mechanisms we use to design that with a level of architectural interest slash what's the word? Goodness, architectural goodness. And having one that was long was really cool because it just allowed us to play with the massing in a little bit of a different way. And, just like you said, everyone has a budget. Even if you're, the richest person in the world, you're still going to have a budget to some degree. And so we came up with a plan to keep the new stair inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a solution to build the stair tower, which added cost.
Mm-hmm.
But
I remember that. That was a low point, Dave. That was a
yeah, I know. I was like, I know, but it's just additions like as you know, all the stuff that goes into it. Now we have drain tile. Now we have all this stuff.
The truss was a big thing.
Yep.
Bringing that in.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was a lot of interesting, design solutions that we had to figure out there. Yeah. And vaulting the family room, which thank goodness you did that, right? What a difference of the space.
If you would have let us, I mean, I remember we had this itemized thing because again, we were getting to budget and it was like, okay, vaulting the ceiling is this, steam shower is this, and you gave us the option. If we had chosen not to vault the ceiling, I would not be on your show and I would be mad at you still. So
yeah, I know. I mean, I guess it's something you could always do later, but yeah, I mean, what a difference of the space, because that's your family room. That's where you guys are hanging out and is adjacent to, essentially your backyard, right, and creating a connection there. And then, we moved all the bedrooms upstairs. Not all of them. You still have the guest room on the first floor.
That's now become a craft room, but yep.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's a good place for that. But then that kind of gave us the ability to, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. We blew out the entire first floor. So the before and afters.
People love it. I mean, and the thing is that I think is really special about our home today is that it's not a mega home. It is absolutely not a mansion. And we spend a lot of time outdoors. We're a very active family. So, we don't have this sprawling dining room and this and that, but it's a place that we love to have people in. Like I said, it's not precious. Glass is broken, messes are made, and that's our home. Like that's how we like it to be. So you guys helped facilitate that for sure.
And I think so much of it, and way back in the day, before LivCo, and actually where Russ and I met, we were working for a developer in Libertyville, and we were working with Sarah Suzanka, who's the author of she's an architect who's the author of all the Not So Big house book series and had a show on PBS and all this stuff. So it was really interesting working with her and learning from her, because that's her whole idea is like, if you're going to spend $1 million on 5,000 square feet, spend $1 million on 3,000 square feet and make it really good. Right? Instead of just having all this
and be really smart with your space.
Yeah, absolutely. And add a level of detail that brings interest. So, while we give you guys the options to do certain things and we have solutions to maybe not do the stair tower, I mean, what a great moment every morning when you guys come down that stair tower, right? Christmas morning coming down those stairs.
So much light. What's really great is like there are, I would say, there are certain elements within the home that are very distinct. And some of those I think have become like a big part of your aesthetic too. So I think that stair tower and some really big windows to bring natural light in makes a huge difference, especially when you're in a more moderate size home.
Mhm.
And then our bedrooms too, like our bedroom has a massive window. And I remember being there when they were bringing it in and those guys like holding this window. And it is such a place of joy for me because I have my Peloton bike right there in our room. And I just open the window and I just ride the Peloton and I'm looking out on the neighborhood. And depending on the time of day, it could be like sunset or sunrise. And it's a moment that continues to bring me joy every day. So
I love it.
kudos to you guys.
I appreciate that. And I was certainly cursed by my production team on that window.
I bet.
Like, really? I'm like, yep, it has to be that big.
It has to be that big.
The proportions. Well, and some other, challenges or whatever you want to call them in the project. And sometimes this comes up a little bit late and we're trying to be better about it. But we ran into a zoning issue, right? Across the back. And Western Springs may have changed it. I know Elmhurst was working on changing it because we've had to get variances for this stuff. So, and for those of you that build in Chicago, you know this, but if you don't and you don't understand this, we would do work in, I don't know, 30 different municipalities, and they all have their own rule book and they all have their own building department and their own zoning ordinance. And so some of them, if you have a one-story structure, allow you to build upon that one-story structure and continue that as the edge of the house even if it is non-conforming, meaning it's over the existing defined setbacks. Most houses in the western suburbs are not conforming to current zoning standards. So you have a 5-foot side yard setback and they're 4 feet. So what that meant that we had to do is we had to make an adjustment and kind of change that side of the house. And I think we lost like a foot or something on the second floor.
We had to come in a foot. Yeah. And I mean, there are always, that's something that's just going to happen and come up. I mean, there were just little things that came up. Like I was very adamant that we needed some type of linen closet, like hadn't had it. What does one do with their sheets? Like what sheets, towels, whatever. And through that, we're like, well, we're probably going to lose the linen. I was like, no. Oh, no. Mama's getting a linen closet. And so you guys were able to like work through something. And granted, my linen closet, I can't even fit in my linen closet. So my linen closet is narrow and you guys had to create like a special door, but it serves its purpose. I mean, I don't have that many sets of sheets. So like we got that in. And so you kind of have to be really like flexible and agile as you're going through the process and trust the experts. Like I'm not going to tell you that I know architecture and design. That's part of why we hired you to do that. That like, I'm telling you, these are the things that I need. And then you guys came back and were like, okay, like this is what we can feasibly do.
Yeah. And, we're going on top of the existing footprint. So we're like, pretty limited in what we can do without quickly, we can always make it bigger.
Right.
But
right.
Oh man, it was so fun. And you guys were a blast to work with. And you were pregnant at the time. I mean, just with 2 little rugrats running around and Colby selling tomatoes and just tomatoes all over the place. Is he still selling tomatoes?
He is.
Still moving tomatoes.
We joke that it's the house that paint and produce bought. But then shortly thereafter, I think I came to James Hardy. And the funny thing, but it also does hurt a little bit, is that we re-sided the home in James Hardy, which is great. But because I didn't start working for the company until after, I somehow paid full price for Hardy. But they should give you a rebate or something, right? They're gonna pay. But one thing too, Dave, that was really cool that we did together was I had really liked this design trend of really dark homes, especially in the Midwest where like you do get a fair amount of rain, that it's lush. Like where we live in the Western suburbs, there's a lot of trees and greenery. So I think that there is something so just architecturally beautiful about a dark home that has this greenery all around it. And so I wanted a close to like a black house. And what you guys ended up doing was coming back with multiple dimensions. So you ended up using, I think, 3 different colors on the exterior of my home that at the time I didn't even know that that was an option. And that was also what helped to create more like continuity with the brick that we ended up painting. So I am so pleased pulling up to the house. And it was also really unique in the neighborhood that our neighborhood had had a lot of more traditional homes. And we had a lot of folks just out of curiosity, like either pulling up or walking their dogs or whatever and stopping to kind of see what was going on. And as a result, we've now seen more people in the neighborhood as they're doing remodels take a little bit more of that contemporary look, bring in James Hardy siding that isn't the standard in the neighborhood. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I would say, and here's the thing, because the problem with modern design, modern, architectural design aesthetic, it's really easy to do a shitty job with it.
Oh, for sure. IKEA.
So,
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you'll just see people that, or when it gets value engineered, and you'll see some of those in Burr Ridge. There's one I probably shouldn't talk about. There's one on County Line that I drive by where you can see where there was a really good architectural intent of composition, and they're like, "Well, that's going to cost too much money," so they changed it, and so they simplified it. So now you lose that composition that was probably part of the original design.
Yeah.
So in kind of what you're talking about is, yeah, the stair tower provided a level of depth and composition, and that's clad in a vertical board and batten. So we have the vertical element, and then we have regular lap siding in a lighter gray around the rest of the house that's tying into the brick. And then we have an element within that gray field connecting the dots on the windows, which is black. So
I don't know if you know this, Dave, but we put iron gray on the house, and years later, that became James Hardy's color of the year. So I don't know. I think there's something there with your color forecasting.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you had a lot to do with it, and probably Anna for that matter.
Yeah, Anna.
In terms of the color, sometimes I think I'm colorblind.
If I recall, I said black, and Anna was like, "I hear you on black," but she showed, I want to say 2 or 3 different like schematics, and there was one that was really dark, and there was one that was light, and there was one in the middle, but all still dark. And we just kind of had a conversation about it and was like, okay, are we doing a black house just to have a black house, just to say that we have a black house? Or are we really thinking intentionally about the neighborhood and the region that we exist and like all of these things? And so that drew us a little bit lighter, but still undeniably it is a dark house. And we have a beautiful burnt sienna door, which I get compliments on all the time. And that, which obviously was not very difficult to do, added a really beautiful design element. And it's consistent with a lot of modern design. Like if you go around and you might see like a burnt orange or even not quite like a tangerine. There are some colors that pop in the modern design world.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of part of that composition. It's part of the palette, especially at the front door. I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you say black, because I don't know, we always learn that black isn't a color, it's the absence of light. I don't know. Right, I don't know. So in the world of building products, and at the time you were at Sherwin-Williams, so how much fun did you have with I mean, we talked about the exterior, but how much fun did you have with paint and Sherwin-Williams at the time?
Even somebody who's in the industry, it's overwhelming. I mean, the sheer number of color choices, but Sherwin-Williams, still I have so many friends and loved ones that are there. I had a lot of support. So I remember a good friend of mine, Sue Kim, a color strategist over there. I'm pretty sure she picked out all the colors in my home. And we ended up doing a very, there was movement away from like everything being so white. And some people like a crisp white aesthetic. But even when it came to the kitchen, I remember talking to your team and saying, I don't want a crisp white kitchen. I'd had that before. I want a little bit of warmth to it. And so your team helped to creatively think through using subway tile, which is very affordable, but it has a really nice clean look. And we used multiple colors of subway tile and did that on the backsplash. And then we did a paint color in the house. Can't remember exactly right now, but it is like a grayish taupe color, a little bit of warmth. But we also added a caviar color into the living room. There was a big wall that the TV sits on, and we did that wall in black caviar, and it has the vaulted ceiling. And again, we weren't afraid to bring in some darkness into the home, and don't regret it still to this day.
I mean, that's another thing I love about paint. And you don't do it, but you can always tell yourself, I can always repaint it.
Totally.
So it allows you to take some risks, and then you don't. Like
and
I even said that in this room.
It's so reasonable, in the grand scheme of things. So
like in this office, I'm kind of over this color. It's kind of dark and it makes the door pop too much, or maybe I'll paint the door. So
paint the door.
Yeah, just paint the door.
Painting the door.
I'm not afraid of painting the door. I just haven't gotten to it.
Right. Right.
I've got a long list of stuff.
I've got a long.
Our dog just jumped through all the screen doors. So
I've thought to reach out to you to just send Denny over. I need some Denny.
You got it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. No, you know that. Anything you guys need.
Awesome.
And your mom as well. So on that note, then we did your mom's place.
She likes to one up me. Anything I do, she likes to copy me and then one up me.
I think she did put in a steam shower just to stick it to you.
Did she also? Did that house also win, or
it did? Yeah, absolutely. No national award though.
Well,
yeah, but
that was a really cool. That was a really cool project. And then you guys are finishing up my neighbor, the Kendall house.
Yep, Sean and Ruby right around the corner. Absolutely, much appreciated. You got your VIP mug, right?
Sure did.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yeah.
With that comes some Denny time too.
Oh, good. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's really fun, and I think one thing, and we've been doing this almost 14 years now, and it's just really fun when we meet more and more like awesome clients that start to connect us to more and more awesome clients. Christy and Waj were another one. I don't think you guys referred them necessarily, but Waj saw Colby at the gym and started talking about us. It was like
fabulous.
So, and then you guys were at Kensington School, so everybody there. Was it Kensington School?
Kensington School, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Pokrakas are old neighbors. Like it's a whole different world of like just really, really, really great.
And it helps our home value. So the more of our neighbors hire you guys, I was like, it's a win-win.
I think you're doing okay over there in Western Springs.
I think we're all right.
I think you had good timing.
Yeah.
So we can't wrap this up without talking about what's going on at James Hardie right now too. So are you loving it? You guys are doing all kinds of awesome stuff.
There's a lot going on, Dave. We had it was a busy quarter. We had obviously the International Builder Show, which I saw you guys at, or knew you guys were going to be there. That was a really cool. It's always cool to be in that environment with like hyper creative people in the industry, seeing what's new, what's upcoming. Then we just came back from a PGA Tour Champions event down in Boca. Happy to be home. Now I got to shift gears to the business, but it's a really exciting time right now. I mean, as I mentioned, we completed the acquisition of the AZEK company, which owns TimberTech, among other brands, back in July. And so we're going through the integration of these really great companies that have some really cool brands and bringing them together. One thing that some people don't know is that, when you do an exterior siding project, it's very common for you after to then take on a decking project and move on to, decking or pergolas, which we have too. So we're kind of at a inflection point right now where we're starting to think about how can we really put forth this whole home solution for homeowners and trades, quite frankly, that's all around the notion of resilient beauty. So we know that homeowners and people in the industry really want something first and foremost that looks beautiful. Like that's an ante. If you're working on your home, it needs to look good. And then two, resiliency is really important. And that's around durability. I mean, yesterday we had hail in Chicago.
Yep.
Across the country, natural weather issues are continuing to just turn up, whether it be fire, water, termites, pests. We talked a little bit about that. And so I feel really fortunate to be able to work for a company. And my job is to create demand for products and brands that really address those needs. And I can feel really, really good about. So, and I hope we do some work together with LivCo in some way, shape, or form. I mean, you guys are already slinging siding.
Oh, we're slinging some siding, all right. And what's, I mean, to be on the brand side of a company like Hardy has to be really interesting because there's not that many companies where the entire product. What is? I'm sure there's a name for it, right? Like Kleenex.
Like it's a Kleenex, yeah.
Yeah, like
we
Hardy.
We were actually looking at a brand health study. I think it was last week. What is time? And Hardy as a company, James Hardy as a company is over 140 years old. Started in Australia over 140 years ago. Came to the US and brought the fiber cement category in, I want to say about the 80s. And before that time, your options for your siding were brick, stucco, vinyl, engineered wood like an LP, or like traditional wood like cedar. And so we brought fiber cement to the category and brought a brand, have continued to invest in the brand to the point that now brands in exterior siding matter. Like we've seen our competitors start to invest in advertising in a way that they never had before because homeowners are starting to take more, and I'm sure you've seen this, Dave, like they're starting to take more interest in what they're putting on their home, what they're putting in their home. How long is it going to last? Like, what is the upkeep going to require? And so we're in a really great position that while our product is certainly premium, for all intents and purposes, it's really just set it and forget it. So you don't need to and I can attest to that with my own home. There's little to no upkeep really required versus, and we're continuing to innovate. I mean, a new product, I don't know if you saw it, is our Timber Hue. So our product, our traditional lap siding is painted typically or primed. You can paint it yourself on site or you can get it painted. This new product, Timber Hue, that's rolling out nationally this year is intended to have more of that natural wood look. So the way that it's engineered is actually two-tone. So it provides more of that aesthetic if you're looking to incorporate that natural wood look, but while still having all of the benefits that a fiber cement would have, which is resistant to fire, resistant to water, and resistant to pests. So we're continuing to innovate on that side. We're also coming out with new installation techniques that make labor continues to be a shortage across the world. I'm sure you guys live in that. So we're continuing to innovate on ways that you can reduce install time. A new installation technique that we're rolling out is around trim over. So the typical way that you install siding is with a special blade and you cut it and it's butt to, and then you caulk. Well, this is a new technique. It's not exactly a new technique, but we've now have our warranty across this technique and are starting to educate more trades where you lay the siding, you score it, you snap it, and then you just put the trim right over it and no water or anything gets in. So you can reduce insulation by around 30%.
That makes total sense. And you can just have the lap profile and the trim board.
Correct.
right? So it fits over it instead of having a gap.
Correct.
Why did it take 140 years to come up with that? Man,
I don't know.
love
Dave.
it.
I don't know. Always innovating.
I'm in.
Job security.
I'm in. No, I've never thought, like, I just had a visual in my head of like, yeah, why don't they just make a trim profile? Because then you just end up with all these goofy things. And I ran into it with my house and, 5/4 boards. Because down here in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
we supply our siding materials to our siders. This has been, I've learned so much.
Wow.
The folks that we work with in Chicagoland,
Yeah.
they do their own material
Totally.
ordering and lists, right?
Totally.
Because that's what they do and they know how to do it. And down here, they're like, yeah, just get me all the materials. I'm like, I don't know what flashing you need, like all this stuff. So we get the bulk of it, and then they give us a list of everything we didn't get.
It's like when my husband goes to the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I have learned more about siding, which I think is helpful for me as an architect when we draw trim profiles or draw corner boards that are, 18 inches wide. We can't really do that. We have to find a way to assemble that.
Well,
because
phone a friend, Dave. I don't know what, I mean.
I know. I need to. No, I'm a know-it-all. I don't need any help.
Yeah. Typical architect.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, I think, and I will tell you, like, our exterior designs are getting more and more complex. And I mean that like in a good way.
What are you seeing? Like what's coming out for you in the exterior design world?
So down here, I mean, I think we've done some really interesting additions where we're using a mixture of shake and maybe natural cedar.
Okay.
Right. And some really interesting compositions. I mean, that's pretty unique to us. I think anytime you look at any of our exterior designs, we're never just going to cover a wall with lap siding unless it's literally what we call a quiet wall, right? Where it's butting up to something close in a quiet wall of the other house. Okay. But anything that's going to be, fully visible to you from the backyard, we certainly want to make it, smart and intentional. But same thing. I mean, we're always thinking about composition. Dormers we're typically going to do in shake just to give it kind of that softness and that lightness. And then using, regular lap siding because that's going to be our most cost effective part of, the bulk of the house, and then finding accent areas. We always try and, use the more sophisticated is another word for expensive material by doors. So by your front door, by a back door, anything that's at eye level. If it's up in a gable, maybe you want that visual interest from afar, but for the most part, don't
underestimate, Dave. I'm sure you don't, but I'm learning more about the importance of trim. I mean, especially now with bringing in basic exteriors, their PVC trim lends itself to a lot of design flexibility. And I'm learning, gentleman on my team, Dan, is super knowledgeable about this space. And we walked a house the other day, and just some of the ideas that he was able to bring forth of how we can be a little bit more detailed, a little bit more intentional, and just add some more interest in certain areas. I had literally never thought about trim. I mean, I remember when Dan and I started working together and I said, how do I know if I have trim on my house? And he's like, you have trim.
You have trim.
And so, you guys know that, but, some of these like unsung heroes that are not in the forefront of people's minds, we're starting to, try to bring homeowners in on the journey a little bit of like things that you can do.
Yeah. And I think, down here in North Carolina, I'm trying to have a little bit of fun with it because there's, a lot of houses built in the 1990s and 2000s. Well, first of all the ones built in the 1990s had masonite, and it's all falling off. And if it hasn't been replaced already, there was birds living in your house, right? So, when you have a lot of people that are residing their houses, and actually our neighbor across the street did a really nice job with it. It was like that when we moved in, but they certainly, gave a lot more attention to those window trim details, like that extra band. Those just little things that you can add that take it to the next level. When we did our house, it's a little bit softer. It's trying to be a little less, I would call it, coastal modern. It's a 1990s Pulte home, but it has kind of like a coolness to it now. And what we did with the window trim is a taller header trim. right?
Okay.
Almost like a classic Craftsman detail.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
just gives you like a little bit of different weight and interest that you don't even really recognize.
The
And we
tough part
threw
about
away all the shutters.
the tough part about being in this industry is it never stops. You know,
Yeah.
whenever I go to a home show or whatever, I come home and I'm like, we have so much to do. Like it, you know, and so like my husband at this point is like kind of used to it, but it's never done. You know, it's yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a list.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I would agree with you. I think we're seeing a lot of interesting stuff with trim just to kind of give it a little bit more interest, or down here in North Carolina, something to just differentiate your house, because there is a fair amount of vanilla that happened in the 1990s. I would say, in Chicago's western suburbs, you don't need that as much, just because the houses by nature already have a lot of their own kind of not necessarily rich details, but a very like specific, thoughtful detail of a house that was built in the 20s, 30s, or 40s usually has something interesting that we want to cling to. But yeah, I mean, to me, siding and exteriors is still just composition, lots and lots of windows and doors. And then a window and door, we always want to look at how we're going to trim that. It may be just casing around it, but it might be something different. It might be vertical pilasters. It might be, aligning those band boards, all the good old Craftsman details that we learned in Chicago that are easier said than done, but really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're way over time, but you started asking me questions about design. So, I could get rolling on that.
Same.
Any advice? I have two questions for you. Any advice for someone thinking about remodeling? It's not intended to be a plug for LivCo. I'm trying to tiptoe around that, honestly, and things that you learned and whether or not it was a good thing. I'm interested to hear. And then from the brand side, there's a lot of remodeling companies that listen. What are your thoughts on kind of how marketing and branding are going in our industry, or any pointers there? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, you got it. To answer your first question about thinking of remodeling, do your homework and, see who's out there. I think, making an informed decision is really smart, and the cream rises to the top. You quickly find how many companies, just maybe aren't as thoughtful. And so and I would also just say, fall forward, give it a try. Like, your home is it's where you spend all your time. It's where your memories are made. So, and I would also say, take risks. Like, listen to the experts and the designers and the architects when they tell them that you're open, and then just trust them, because then you end up with some really cool stuff. So just do it on that front. To answer your second question, as a marketer, I would say, again, do your homework. There's so much information out there that, before you're just going to put something on your home, see, how resilient is this product? What are experts saying about it? What does my warranty look like? What are the aesthetic options available with this? And I think there are also so many great digital tools that are out there today. If you just go to a retailer or a manufacturer website, there's great visualizers and quizzes and things like that. So I would just encourage you to play around, but also to do your due diligence.
Yeah, and AI has become a pretty cool tool for some of that visualization too.
There's so much. I mean, you almost can't get around it. But I will also say, I mean, Dave, like, you guys, when we started working with you guys, it was pre Chat GPT to the mainstream. And so again, I give you guys big kudos to how you've been able to front load design, and it ends up, the end result is just a lot more beautiful than what it would be. So
that's the idea. We're trying to make something special, right? And it's a special relationship, or should be, between architect builder and owner, right? And when the architect builder's one, it's one single point of accountability. And we want, at the end of the day, we want our clients to want to have a beer with us afterwards. That's important to us.
Sure do.
Because we know it's not easy going through that whole thing, but we're here for you guys, and we'll get Denny over there ASAP.
Perfect. So good to see you, Dave.
You too, Nora. Say hey to Colby and the boys. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks
Awesome.
again for doing this.
You got it.
All right. Take care. Bye.